What's up everyone, Julian here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make MRD and X Club style trance, that type of stuff that's lighting up the whole world right now. To go along with this video, you get the full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, template from this video. Everything is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely go grab that while it's available. Best thing you can do for your production right now. Thanks for the support everybody, and let's get started. Alright, so we're at 150 BPM right off the bat. The first thing we have is our operator kick. So as you can hear, this is essentially operator doing a 909 kick. So the way that I've done this is we're using a sine wave with a little bit of FM from another sine wave. You'll notice that it has a very short envelope. So all you're really getting there is just a bit of click from that second one. If I turn it off, see what I mean? It's essentially just doing that. It's really just on the transient. Then we just have this pitch envelope. The key here is the two-part pitch envelope. So you got like this part, and then it goes down into the second part. That's all a kick is basically two pitch envelopes on like a sine wave or whatever. So if you can nail that down, that's really where the kick is going to come from. So then we just have a little bit of a subcut, and then we're converting it to mono. Then I got the bass. So yeah, we're in the key of B minor here. We're literally going root note, third, fourth, sixth, seventh, which is essentially what the notes walking back up to the root. Very simple. You'll notice it changes notes very quickly, and that's what really keeps this moving, because the other stuff is very like ethereal and kind of washy. This is what keeps it like moving along throughout that, right? So for the sound here, it's made with drift. Drift is really good, especially for this one reason. So you see we got a saw wave and a square wave. What we're doing here though is this R is on, which means re-trigger. Essentially means that the phase, like where you are on the saw wave or the square wave, is going to reset the same place every single time that you hit a note. So if I turn that off, hear how the bass kind of moves around and it's slightly different every time, but then you turn it back on, and it's nice and tight. It's the same thing every single time on the grid. And that's what you want with the trance bass. So that's why I like drift for these. We got a low pass filter, a little bit of an envelope on it to just make that nice and punchy. There's the envelope. Other than that, not too much. Just a little subcut, right? You really just want this to be a nice punchy bass that hits with your kick. And there we go. You know, you don't want to over process it. It's kind of going back to more of those like classic trance sounds, like where it wasn't so like over compressed and stuff. It was just like a 909 and a fat bass. So then we got the drums. We got a nice open hi-hat. Again, just like fat 909, a little bit crunchy, but it goes with the aesthetic. And then a rave loop, not overdoing it, but just enough to add some percussion and fill in the mid-range a little bit, but not take away from the synths. So then we got our lead. So as you can hear, this really interacts with the bass, where the bass is playing its own progression, right? I'm pretty sure it was root note, third, fourth, sixth, seventh. And then here we're going root note, sixth, fifth, fourth, sixth, seventh. So we're kind of using a few different voices. And then it creates like an interesting chord progression against that bass line. So for the actual sound on this one, what we're doing here is we're using wavetable. It's just a saw wave with a bunch of noise unison. But you can see we've got on the oscillator fold and on the filter frequency this envelope. So it's kind of like warping the saw wave into something else. We got a bit of distortion as well. Here's about that. With it, really brings the sound out right. We got a little bit of delay, and then we're just side chaining it. And then the last thing here is a pad. Now, what we're doing with the pad is actually very simple. We're basically using a bunch of notes here to kind of create a pad. Like, it's not like long held out chords or anything, right? It's just these like short kind of punchy notes that all come together to create the pad. It's sort of two movements. We got this up here, which is root note, ninth, third, really simple. And then down here, we're just going fifth, sixth, fifth, sixth, fifth. right? And you just put that against the chord progression. And it creates a really nice pad without being just like obvious held out trance chords, right? So then the other secret to this is the actual synth patch has to kind of work with it. Like what we're doing here is we got 2 saw waves, detuned a little bit, low pass with an envelope on it. So when you give it that like punchier, you can hear it, right? If I turn off the envelope, you're barely even going to hear this, and you're not going to hear each individual note. So you got to have that envelope, but just like enough. And the amplitude envelope is set kind of punchy too. It's not just like a long held out pad. We got some vibrato, a little bit of unison, echo. I've also got this on the unison. I've got this delay, so if I turn that off, what that's doing is it's pushing each of the 4 voices 91 milliseconds after the last one. So that kind of like washes it a bit as well. Some delay, and then this low pass here's without that. It's kind of like the lo-fi filter, right? You just cut off some highs and boost the resonance. Sidechain, and then a high pass. And there it is. So there you have it. As you can see, this modern style of trance is very cool. You know, it harkens back to a lot of the early stuff, and we're really doing a lot of those kind of things in these tracks. It's not so much that super techy modern sound that trance had turned into up until a few years ago. So that's me for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Thanks for the support, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.